Go to hell. The words were a blade of ice in the dark. I was barely clinging to life, crawling from the maw of the abyss, when my fiancée, Commandant Reyes, drove a combat knife through my heart from behind. Her voice was colder than the steel. Caleb, you were supposed to guard the breach. You let the dead get out. Do you have any idea how close they came to Aiden? He was almost bitten. Don't blame me for this. It was a public vote. The people of Sector 5 want you to atone with your life. I'm your fiancé, but I'm also their leader. Duty by my hunt. It's a mercy. You can rest now. She ripped the bloody knife free and kicked my body back into the chasm. Ding. Objective. Betrayed and slain complete. Host has been elevated to Arch-Necromancer. All that is dead will now serve you. A notification chimed, not in the air but in the core of my being. A slow smile spread across my face as I fell. Sector 5, I whispered to the howling darkness. Get ready to meet your nightmare. The breach was a monument to dead things. No plants, no animals, just miles of shattered rock and a perpetual twilight, choked by a thick, necrotic fog the old-timers called the Blight. It was a hellscape, punctuated only by the guttural roars of the undead. The Blight was more than just a barrier. It was a fountain of unlife. It knitted together the torn flesh of the dead, healed their wounds, and amplified their strength. The first zombies were just locals caught in the seismic cataclysm that tore this canyon open, infected by the first leak of the Blight. Now, it was their sanctuary, the place they retreated to whenever their hordes were broken. For 100 years, no one had dared to venture deep inside. Everyone who tried was torn to shreds. And now here I was. I sat on a colossal slab of brownstone, idly tapping a withered branch against the head of the 10-foot-tall tyrant kneeling before me. The creature, a monster that had evolved massive, leathery wings and could shrug off anti-tank munitions, was trembling like a frightened child. The breach hadn't always been this vast. It was originally just a crack in the earth. Decades of failed nuclear bombardments had blasted it into the bottomless canyon it was today. Behind the tyrant, thousands of Alpha-class zombies stood silent and still. And behind them, a tide of over 100 million shambling corpses, a sea of rot and stench, waited. Some moaned restlessly, others stared with vacant eyes, but not a single one dared to step forward. I tapped the tyrant on its head again, a dry, self-mocking laugh escaping my lips. You want to hear a story, Jonesy? The tyrant's facial muscles twitched. It started to snarl, but a sharp rap from my stick made it go docile again. It gave a pathetic, hesitant nod. I was ice-skied, dropped into another world, into this zombie-infested hellhole 21 years ago. I began, and the first mission this system gave me, get bitten by a zombie. The reward? Become a Class S metahuman. I snorted. What kind of sick joke is that? I told it to go screw itself. What kind of idiot would sign up for that? So for years, I just laid low in the undercroft of Sector 5, hit 18 and still hadn't touched that suicide mission. Then one day, your buddies breached the outer perimeter. The whole district went to hell. Screaming, sirens, chaos. I was just another face in the panicked crowd. That's when I saw her. Little Princess Serafina Reyes. Her whole elite squad of metahuman bodyguards was completely overrun, swallowed by the horde. Sarah was only 18 then, pale with terror, the sector's golden girl, the one every guy dreamed about. Hell, I was no different. She was gorgeous. But I was just an orphan from the undercroft who'd lucked into this world. She was royalty. We were planets apart. I never imagined our paths would cross. Then she ran, blind with fear, straight for me, threw herself right into my arms. I saw the corners of my mouth turn up at the memory, and Jonesy, the tyrant, tried to mimic the expression with its mangled lips. Whack! I struck its skull hard. Wipe that stupid look off your face. No smiling. Jonesy flinched, snapping its jaw shut. The horror behind it, however, was not so easily cowed. A collective, guttural roar of fury rose from a million throats, a wave of aggression directed at me. They wanted to rip me apart. I had only bothered to enslave the tyrant directly. Managing the rest was too much of a headache. But Jonesy knew its place. Seeing its underlings challenge its new master, it turned and unleashed a deafening, reality-shattering roar. The entire chasm vibrated. The blight churned like a storm-tossed sea. The sound wave, thick with necrotic power, slammed into the zombie army. The alphas and their lesser brethren, who were moments ago ready to charge, now cowered like whipped dogs. Every sound ceased. They lowered their rotting heads and shuffled backward. I nodded, satisfied, and went back to tapping Jonas's bald head with my stick. "Where was I?" I said, my voice flat, as if telling a joke that had long since lost its humor. "Right." She jumped into my arms. So, to protect her, one of her dim-witted cronies took a chunk out of my shoulder. And what do you know? The system delivered. Instant Class S metahuman, straight to the top. Jonas's jaw dropped open in another stupid grin. This time, I let it slide. I saved Sector 5. Became a hero overnight. Her father, Governor Reyes, couldn't wait to marry his precious daughter off to me. Even gave me some bullshit title, Guardian of the Sector. And thanks to me, Serafina beat out her two sisters to become the successor designate. I let out a cold laugh. Oh, I knew what the old man was doing. He just wanted my Class S bloodline for his family. It was a transaction. Power and genetics. But you know what? I didn't care. Jonesy looked on, its dead eyes uncomprehending, but I could feel the frost in my tone. It kept its massive head bowed low, its kneeling posture rigid. For 3 years, I bled for Sector 5. I stood watch over the mouth of this damn breach, making sure none of you freaks got out to hurt anyone. I was even stupid enough to think that, even if it started as a deal, after all that time together, Serafina might actually have some real feelings for me. My voice grew colder. The stick of my hand snapped with a sharp crack. The blight in the canyon surged violently, drawn to my anger. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. One minor slip-up. A handful of your grunts get past the line. A few casualties, and that A-list pretty boy Aiden Croft gets a little spooked. So they stage a public vote, and the people decide I should atone with my life. And my fiancée, my loyal, loving fiancée, the high and mighty commandant. I paused, the phantom pain of the knife twisting in my chest. She live-streamed it for the entire sector, stabbed me in the back herself, and kicked me into this pit. She said I could finally rest. A bitter, humorless laugh escaped my lips. Some rest. I stood up, tossing the broken halves of the stick aside. I looked down at the endless, silent sea of the dead. The blight swirled around me, pouring into me like a river into the ocean. The phantom blue flames in the depths of my eyes flared. Well, I've rested, and now I'm awake. I spread my arms, feeling the godlike necromantic power coursing through me. My voice, echoing with the chill of the grave, boomed across the abyss. Jonesy, and the rest of you mindless puppets, listen up. As of today, Caleb Thorne is no longer the guardian of Sector 5. I'm a zombie king of the breach. My gaze sharpened, piercing through miles of rock, aimed directly at the city above. Serafina, Sector 5. You're all so afraid of the dead, aren't you? You see this place as your ultimate nightmare. Good. A cruel smile twisted my lips. Because I'm bringing your worst nightmare home. To catch up on old times, I looked down at the tyrant's chest and the massive, crater-like wound there. A wound I myself had inflicted during our last battle. Black blood still oozed from its edges. Jonesy, I'm giving you 3 days. Heal yourself. In 3 days, we march on Sector 5. At my command, the soul fire in the tyrant's eyes blazed. It let out a roar that sounded like thunder. The entire undead army answered, a single, deafening cry from 100 million throats that shook the very foundations of the world. Meanwhile, in the Commandant's Tower in Sector 5, Serafina Reyes sat on a throne of polished steel and gold. Her father, the ailing former Governor Reyes, burst into the chamber, shoving past the guards. Serafina, I made you my successor because you were Caleb's fiancée, he raged, his voice thin and reedy. He made you commandant. He kept this sector safe, and this is how you repay him. Are you trying to get every last one of us killed? Serafina let out a light, dismissive laugh. Father, you're getting old. Yes, Caleb Thorne was a hero. For a time, he was the only Class S metahuman. Everyone thought I only got this position because of him, that I couldn't beat my sisters on my own. You have no idea how they looked down on me, whispered behind my back. And yes, I was grateful. I even thought I loved him. Her expression twisted into a mask of resentment. But it's been 3 years. He spent all his time at the breach. How many days was he actually with me? When I was hurting, when my sisters were mocking me, where was he? He disappointed me. Father, in that, he could never compare to Aiden. Aiden is always there for me. He knows how to make me happy. She paused, her voice hardening. And then Caleb gets careless. He lets the dead through the perimeter. Aiden was filming his new movie, and he was almost torn apart. Caleb did it on purpose. He was jealous of Aiden's success, of our happiness. He had to die, Father. It was the only way to keep Aiden safe. Aiden was right. Caleb's death proves that I don't need him. That Sector 5 doesn't need him. Anything Caleb could do, others could do better. Governor Reyes slammed his cane on the marble floor. You foolish girl. What has that actor done to you? You're going to destroy us all. Serafina glanced at her father's contorted face, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes. Aiden is a beloved star. His near-death experience enraged the public. Caleb's execution wasn't just my decision. It was the will of the people. You're tired, Father. Go rest. And from now on, you're no longer welcome in this chamber. At her signal, a pair of guards forcibly escorted the old man out. Shortly after, Serafina granted an audience to Aiden Croft and his 2 sisters. She sat imperiously on her throne as Aiden scurried over, immediately beginning to massage her shoulders with practiced ease. His touch was gentle, his voice dripping with concern and adoration. Sarah, you work too hard, he cooed. You carry the weight of this entire sector. It breaks my heart to see you under so much stress. She closed her eyes, sighing as some of the tension left her. She patted his hand. That's enough, Aiden. Her gaze fell upon his sisters, Morgan and Madison Croft, who stood with their heads bowed. You two are the secret weapons I've been cultivating for years, Serafina said, her tone cool and commanding. Like Caleb, you are both Class S metahumans. I expect you to perform as he did. Do not disappoint me. They dropped to one knee in unison. Yes, Commandant, they replied, their voices firm. We will defend Sector 5 with our lives. We will not fail you. Serafina nodded, pleased. The eyes of the sector are on you now. Caleb Thorne was the guardian. To make way for you, I removed him myself. I need you to prove that my choice, that the people's choice, was the right one. Prove that you are his equals. Morgan Croft looked up, her eyes blazing with confidence. Commandant, with all due respect, Caleb Thorne was a fraud. My sister and I have trained for years, augmented with the finest gene therapy treatments. Our control over the elemental forces is far superior to his. Holding the breach will be child's play. Madison chimed in. She's right, Commandant. Caleb was arrogant and overrated. If he were truly competent, the perimeter never would have been breached in the first place. My sister and I are perfectly in sync. Our powers combined are exponentially greater. The breach's defense is more than secure in our hands. A genuine smile touched Serafina's lips. Good. That's what I need to hear. But I don't just want you to hold the line. I want you to make a statement. I want every citizen to see that without Caleb Thorne, Sector 5 is stronger than ever. She rose and glided over to them, personally pinning the silver insignias of the Metahuman Legion's high command onto their uniforms. As of today, you are the new guardians of Sector 5. The propaganda department will give you their full support. We will make you into living legends. The sisters bowed deeply. Thank you, Commandant. The official announcement hit the sector's network moments later. New guardians ascend. Class S metahumans Morgan and Madison Croft to reinforce the breach, confront the tyrant. The post was accompanied by sleek, heavily edited promo shots of the two sisters. The network exploded. At Future is female. OMG, they're gorgeous. I'm obsessed. At Croft Fan 1, is the whole Croft family superhuman? Aiden is a megastar, and his sisters are Class S badasses and supermodels. Unreal genetics. At Truth Seeker 88, wow, they already look way more capable than Thorne ever did. At Aiden is my life. Thorne was a joke. Couldn't even stop a few basic zombies. Almost got our Aiden killed. Good riddance. At Sector 5 strong, yes. The Croft sisters are beautiful and powerful. These are the real guardians we deserve. At Real Talk, let's be honest, Thorne was an orphan from the Undercroft. If the Commandant hadn't given him a chance, he'd be nothing. So ungrateful. At Zombie Slayer 22, now that the Croft sisters are in charge, let's see those dead freaks try anything. At GamerGod, that loser Thorne fought the tyrant for 3 years and never killed it. I bet the sisters take it down in 5 minutes flat. As they prepared to depart, a crowd of tens of thousands gathered at the city gates to see them off. The 3,000 soldiers of the Metahuman Legion stood ready behind them. Morgan, clad in a flowing red dress, turned to the adoring crowd with a dazzling smile. "If any of you are interested," she announced, her voice magically amplified, "you are welcome to come and watch. With my sister and I on duty, your safety is absolutely guaranteed." The crowd, especially the young men mesmerized by the sisters, went wild. Hundreds, then thousands, surged forward, eager to follow. In the end, a civilian convoy of 50,000 people formed, ready to witness the heroics of their new guardians firsthand. A swarm of 1,000 drones lifted off, streaming the entire event live across the network. The massive procession marched toward the breach. On the live stream, Morgan and Madison walked at the head of the column, their designer dresses, one crimson, one snow white, billowing dramatically in the wind. The comments section scrolled at an impossible speed. At Slay Queen, they look so epic. This is what leadership looks like. At Practical Pat, wait, they're wearing ball gowns to a zombie fight? And they're bringing a massive crowd of civilians with them? Is this a defense mission or a publicity stunt? And Morgan, my wife, shut up, Pat. You know nothing. At bootlicker_99. Exactly. That loser Thorne managed to wound the tyrant. With 2 Class S heroes working together, what's there to be afraid of? Let the queens wear what they want. #fashion freedom. At LOL_OMG. Luo of the confidence. So much better than that emo face Caleb. At Hype Train. Can't wait to see them wreck some zombies. Get the popcorn ready. At the edge of the breach, a fierce wind howled, whipping the black blight below into a frenzy. The faint sound of undead moans drifted up from the depths. Morgan stood proudly at the precipice, turning to flash a perfect smile at the nearest drone camera. "Everyone watching, get ready to see what real Class S power looks like." She brought her hands together, and a searing red light erupted around her. Beside her, Madison conjured a vortex of frigid blue energy. The 2 powers intertwined, spiraling into a brilliant column of light that shot into the sky. At viewer 24601, holy, is that what Class S power looks like? At Pretty Lights, it's beautiful. It's like a miracle. At Thorne H8R, that loser Caleb never did anything that cool in 3 years. At Facts, see? He was a glory hound, all talk. Glad he's gone. But while the audience was still mesmerized by the light show, the ground began to tremble violently. The sound of the undead grew from a distant moan to a deafening roar. Rocks and debris began to clatter down the cliff faces. The festive mood evaporated. The color drained from Morgan's face. She had planned this as a simple photo op. Lead the civilians out, put on a little show, and send them home safe. The horde had always stayed dormant for months after being repelled. She never imagined they would surge on the very first day. If anything happened to these civilians, she would be in serious trouble. Panic rising in her throat, she forced a calm expression and yelled, "Don't be afraid. All civilians fall back immediately." Metahuman Legion, with me, Madison, however, looked completely unconcerned. "Sis, relax. It's just zombies. They're facing 2 Class S metahumans. What is there to be afraid of?" Just then, the horde poured from the breach. It was a tidal wave of decaying flesh. Leading the charge were 3 alpha stalkers, each 10 feet tall, with newly sprouted wings. Monstrosities I had personally enhanced to near tyrant levels. "Zombies! It's the horde! Oh God, help us! Run!" The scene devolved into pure chaos. Screams and cries tore through the air. Metahuman Legion, form ranks. Morgan shrieked, her face pale. 3,000 soldiers scrambled into formation. A shimmering wall of multicolored energy erupted as they unleashed their powers. Lasers, incendiary grenades, and rockets rained down on the approaching dead. For a moment, the barrage held. But against a ceaseless, unfeeling tide of millions, their defensive line was tissue paper. Frostfang Serpent. Madison struck first. A colossal dragon of pure ice materialized and crashed into the front lines, flash freezing hundreds of zombies into brittle statues. Morgan followed with a roar of her own. Solar Phoenix. A giant bird of fire soared from her hands, incinerating another swathe of the horde. The phoenix and the serpent danced in the air, a spectacular display of destructive power. The surviving civilians hooped and cheered. The livestream comments went into overdrive. At WTF_dude, holy crap, that's the power of Class S. Insane. At Cinephile, this looks better than any CGI blockbuster. At Stats Nerd, one attack took out hundreds of zombies. At Real Guardians, this is what real Guardians can do. At Edith Thorne, see? They're nothing like that useless Caleb Thorne. 9. The celebration was short-lived. The cheers died in their throats, replaced by gasps of horror. The 3 Alpha Stalkers ignored the fire and ice completely. With a synchronized roar, they tore through the energy shield with their bare claws and charged the sisters like 3 demonic locomotives. Protect the Guardians, a Legion commander yelled. Soldiers threw themselves in the path of the Alphas, only to be swatted aside like flies. Claws disemboweled them, jaws ripped out their throats. Metahumans who took to the sky were sliced out of the air by the Alphas' razor-sharp wings. The civilian crowd was swallowed by the main horde. They were pulled down like wheat before a scythe, only to rise moments later with dead eyes, joining the army of the damned. Blood painted the cliffside crimson. It was a slaughter. No, it's impossible, Madison stammered, her face a mask of terror. Her ice serpent could barely slow the Alphas down, let alone harm them. She was paralyzed, a cold dread snaking up her spine. Morgan, gritting her teeth, summoned another fire phoenix. But one of the Alphas met it head-on, smashing the fiery construct into embers with a single swipe. Another Alpha was suddenly right in front of her. A clawed hand slammed into her chest, sending her flying 50 yards through the air before she crashed to the ground in a broken heap. Morgan! Madison screamed. She rushed to her sister's side, hauling her bleeding, unconscious form to her feet. Retreat. Everyone fall back. She shrieked. The metahuman legion, seeing their commanders broken and fleeing, lost all will to fight. They broke ranks and ran for their lives. But the 50,000 civilians were not soldiers. They were slow, terrified, and clumsy. Many were paralyzed by fear, unable to move as the dead descended upon them. The few who managed to run were quickly overtaken. One by one, they were pulled down, torn apart, and reborn as monsters. The edge of the breach had become a vision of hell on earth. 10. When the last of the fleeing soldiers was miles away, I signaled the horde to stop. The tyrant still needed a few more hours to fully heal. They could have a brief reprieve. The news of 50,000 civilian deaths hit the network like a nuke. The same public that had adored the Croft sisters now turned on them with rabid fury. I betrayed. Frauds. They're not Class S. They're just 2 useless influencers. At grieving wife. My husband was in that crowd. You monsters. Give me back my husband. At angry citizen. Who was it saying the sisters would kill the tyrant in seconds? 50,000 dead. At justice now. You murderers. Do you have any conscience at all? And my dad. He just won't watch the show. He was an old man. Why did he have to be eaten alive? At vengeance. The Croft sisters must pay. Atone with your lives. The sisters stumbled back to the main gate of Sector 5, only to be met by a mob of 1 million furious citizens. Their eyes were bloodshot with grief and rage. They looked ready to tear the 2 women limb from limb. Death to the Crofts, they chanted. Murderers. Morgan and Madison's expensive dresses were shredded and stained with blood and grime. They stared in terror at the sea of hateful faces. A swarm of news drones descended, their microphones thrust forward. Questions flew like bullets. Guardians, you promised to protect the people. Why did you abandon them to die? Are you truly Class S metahumans? You were routed before you even saw the tyrant. Were those 50,000 lives just props for your publicity stunt? Caleb Thorne guarded the breach for 3 years without a single casualty of this magnitude. How do you explain your catastrophic failure? The questions grew sharper, more accusatory. The flash of the drone cameras was relentless, capturing every detail of their humiliation. Morgan forced herself to speak. The zombie horde was unexpectedly powerful. This wasn't their fault. It was Caleb Thorne's. Aiden Croft pushed through the crowd, flanked by bodyguards. He shot his sisters a reassuring look before turning to face the drones. As the sector's biggest star, he instantly commanded everyone's attention. His accusation stunned the mob into silence. "What do you mean by that, Mr. Croft?" A reporter drone buzzed forward. Aiden took a deep breath, his actor's training kicking in. He projected his voice, full of righteous anger. "Everyone knows that only a tyrant-class zombie has wings. Those three creatures that led the attack weren't alphas. They were full-fledged tyrants. The original tyrant, Jonesy, must have used its intelligence to summon them from other breaches across the continent." This was, of course, a complete lie. The other sectors kept information about their own unique zombie variants heavily classified. The average citizen of Sector 5 knew nothing about them. "Caleb Thorne was our guardian for 3 years." Aiden roared, his voice trembling with manufactured emotion. "He fought Jonesy hundreds of times and never finished the job. If he hadn't been so incompetent, so weak, would this tragedy have ever happened? He was a master manipulator." In a few sentences, he had shifted the full weight of the public's fury onto a dead man. The crowd grew quiet, confused. A few people started nodding. He has a point. So this is all Caleb's fault. Yeah, if Thorne had killed that tyrant years ago, none of this would have happened. Damn you, Caleb. Sensing the tide turning, Aiden pressed his advantage. Caleb Thorne was so weak. 50,000 people died. He couldn't handle one tyrant, but my sisters managed to escape from the combined assault of 3. They are not failures. They are the last hope for Sector 5. They are our true heroes. Just then, a new voice boomed from the city walls above. Commandant Serafina Reyes stood on the ramparts, her expression grim. "Aiden Croft is right," she declared. "Caleb Thorne is the true disgrace of Sector 5, a traitor to our memory. But do not despair. I have already requested aid from the other 4 sectors. Their greatest champions will be here soon. If the dead dare to approach our walls again, we will annihilate them once and for all." As she spoke, her aide rushed to her side, his face ashen. He had just gotten off a secure line. "Commandant," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Drone reconnaissance reports a massive blight cloud 6 miles out and closing fast. The ground is shaking. The entire horde. Commandant, the tyrant is leading them straight for us." A cold dread seized Serafina's heart. At the same time, the crowd below felt it too. A dark, unnatural cloud was boiling on the horizon, racing toward them. The flags on the city walls began to whip violently. A low, continuous rumble, like distant thunder, grew louder. The ground began to vibrate, then to shake. "Is that an earthquake?" someone cried out. But it wasn't an earthquake. As the cloud drew nearer, they could see what was causing it. An endless, churning ocean of the dead. A black tide of undeath running at full speed. "Zombies! It's the whole horde!" The scream ripped through the air, and the fragile order shattered. The crowd became a panicked stampede. People trampled each other in a desperate attempt to get back inside the city. The news drones, which had been focused on Aiden and his sisters, all swiveled to face the oncoming apocalypse. The live feed showed a terrifying sight. The 3-winged alpha stalkers flew just above the ground, kicking up clouds of dust. Behind them, thousands of alphas ran, followed by a perfectly synchronized army of millions. Their footsteps fell in unison, each step a hammer blow that shook the earth. This was impossible. The horde had always been a chaotic mess. How could they be moving with such perfect, terrifying discipline? And at the very front, leading the charge, was the 10-foot-tall tyrant, Jonesy, but perched calmly on its massive shoulder was the figure of a man. "Caleb," Serafina breathed, all the blood draining from her face. The guards on the wall beside her fell to their knees, their weapons clattering to the ground. 13. I held up the soul siphon, a tattered banner that now served as my focus, and waved it once. The entire undead army halted instantly, their movements so synchronized it was unnerving. I looked up at Serafina on the wall, and though my voice was quiet, It carried across the unnatural silence to every corner of the sector. Seraphina, I'm back. Those 4 words froze the world. The panicked citizens, the fleeing reporters, everyone stopped dead in their tracks, their faces a mixture of confusion and disbelief as they stared at the man sitting on the tyrant's shoulder. Seraphina was shaking uncontrollably. No, you're dead. You can't be alive. I gave her a mocking smile. My dearest fiancée, you're still breathing. How could I possibly die before you? Aiden, feeling the sheer weight of my presence, felt his soul begin to tremble. He grabbed his sister's arms. Kill him. Morgan, Madison, kill him now. He'll never forgive us. Do it. Morgan, a Class S metahuman, managed to suppress her terror. She teleported to the top of the wall and pointed a shaking finger at me. Caleb, even if you're alive, you've gone too far. You've sided with the dead against your own kind. Have you no shame? Is this how you repay the sector that raised you? She took a breath, puffing out her chest. If you turn yourself in now and beg for forgiveness, I will speak to the Commandant on your behalf. Perhaps she will grant you a chance to redeem yourself. A faint, cold smile touched my lips. Without me protecting this sector for the last 3 years, do you really think 2 pampered children like you would have had the resources to reach Class S? You're a disgrace. You can't even handle my enhanced alphas, and you have the nerve to ask me to kneel? My open contempt finally broke through her bravado. You were always a fraud, Caleb, just a glory hound. If you have any courage, face me. 1-on-1. If you lose, you take your freak show back into the breach and never come out again. 14. I regarded her with mild amusement. The woman had absolutely no self-awareness. All right, but I won't bully you, I said magnanimously. You and your sister can come at me together. If I lose, I'll do as you say. My expression darkened, but my death sentence was decided by a vote, the will of the people. So if you lose, I'll expect the entire sector to be buried with me. My words fell like a death shroud over the city. The word buried hammered into the hearts of every single person listening. Morgan's face went white. She glanced at Madison, who looked just as terrified. What's the matter? Scared, I sneered. You were so confident just a minute ago. The crowd below began to stir. Do it, someone shouted. He's a weakling. You're both Class S. Yeah, one of you could take him alone. 2-on-1 is an easy win. What other choice do we have? We can't let that horde in. You said you were stronger than him. Prove it. The live stream chat exploded. Go for it. DO it. Kill that traitor. At Sisters FTW. Come on, ladies. Show this loser what real power looks like. At OMG. Ha! Caleb thinks controlling some zombies makes him tough? A Class S metahuman will put him in his place. Seraphina looked at the endless ocean of the dead. She knew that even if they refused, Caleb would not show mercy. A duel bought them time, at least. Time for reinforcements to arrive. Morgan, she called out, her voice firm. Accept his challenge. With the Commandant's order, the sisters leaped from the wall, landing in front of the undead army. The live stream went into meltdown. At Hype Train, here we go. Battle of the century. At GamerGod, taking all bets. I've got $5 on the sisters winning in 1 move. At Sector 5 Strong, LFG, Thorne was always a fraud. Now that he's siding with zombies, he's an even bigger fraud. We have to give it everything we've got, Madison whispered. They both bit their thumbs, using their blood as a catalyst to begin a complex ritual. The red and blue auras around them intensified, their power levels skyrocketing. The ice serpent and fire phoenix reappeared, but this time they spiraled around each other, merging into a massive, swirling orb of pure black energy. The space around it began to warp. It was an attack that held the power to level a city block. Such a long wind-up, I thought. Even back when I was just Class S, I could have killed them 10 times over before they finished that spell. They truly were products of a peaceful, sheltered world. But I was in no hurry. I sat patiently on Jonas's shoulder and let them finish. The sky above them darkened. Storm clouds gathered, and lightning crackled. The livestream comments were a blur of pure awe. At WTF underscore dude, oh my god, is that a forbidden class technique? At Win, it's over. That attack is warping reality itself. Caleb is absolute toast. At Thorne H8R, haha, get wrecked, you traitorous clown. The black sphere of energy pulsing with apocalyptic power, shot toward me. I remained on the tyrant's shoulder, my expression unchanged. I casually lifted the soul siphon and gave it a lazy wave. Boom! The moment the terrifying energy sphere touched the tendril of blight from my banner, it detonated like a cheap firework. A spectacular, silent explosion of light filled the sky, scattering the storm clouds and revealing a perfectly clear, blue sky. Impossible! The sisters screamed in unison. The livestream fell silent for a full second before it was flooded with a tidal wave of question marks. WTF was that? Did my stream just lag? What happened? It just popped? Like a balloon? Was that it? No way. This has to be a trick. How'd he just wave it away? Was it your ultimate attack? I asked, my voice laced with pity. Are you two children done playing? I stretched out my right hand. The blight coalesced into two giant, shadowy claws that shot out and snatched the sisters from the ground. They struggled, lashing out with fire and ice, but it was useless. Class S. I sneered. Before me, you're nothing but slightly larger insects. And oh, they shrieked. Live, in front of the entire sector, their bodies began to decay. Their flesh withered and turned to dust, their skins sloughing off until only two bleached skeletons remained. I casually dropped the bones at the foot of the city gate. Absolute silence. He just one-shot two Class S metahumans. How is he so strong? Who the hell called him a fraud? We're screwed. We're so unbelievably screwed. Despair crashed over the city. It was total and absolute. Aiden Croft's legs gave out, and he crumpled to his knees. Morgan, Madison, he wailed, his eyes wide with horror. On the wall, Seraphina staggered, catching herself on the parapet. Ow, she whispered. How can this be? For the first time, a sliver of regret, cold and sharp, pierced her heart. At that moment, an immense pressure descended from the heavens, crushing everyone under its weight. An old, powerful voice echoed from the sky. Caleb Thorne, you consort with the dead and betray humanity. You dare to murder my apprentices? You court death. A black-clad old man materialized in midair. Behind him, the sky was filled by the massive silhouettes of 24 Valkyrie-class assault carriers, arriving in perfect formation. The sight of the fleet and the old man sent a jolt of hope through the despairing citizens of Sector 5. That's saved. It's him. That's General Marcus Vance, Supreme Commander of Sector 1 and leader of the Pansector Metahuman Alliance. At Hope. Oh, thank God we're saved. General Vance is the strongest metahuman alive, a peak Class S. They call him the Unbreakable Shield. I get wrecked, Thorne, yes. Look at Caleb's face now. He's about to get on his knees and beg for mercy. Vance is a hero. The general can probably kill him with one punch. Let's see how arrogant he is now. General Vance hovered in the air, radiating power. Caleb Thorne, what you have done here is an act of treason. You will answer to your commandant, you will answer to the Alliance, and you will answer to the people of Sector 5. If you do not, I will personally grind your bones to dust. I frowned. So noisy. Old man, you have no idea who you're talking to. With a flick of my wrist, a colossal hand of black energy materialized in the sky above him. Before Vance could even react, it slammed him down into the earth. Boom! The ground shattered, a crater hundreds of yards wide appearing where he'd been hit. Everyone froze. What? What has happened? 17 Vance crawled out of the crater, spitting up mouthfuls of blood. You dare to humiliate me? He roared, his face contorted with fury. He was the leader of the Alliance, a living legend. He had never been so thoroughly disrespected, especially not in front of millions. I chuckled. Humiliate you? We're just getting started. Another shadowy hand materialized and slapped him across the face with the force of a freight train. His power was completely suppressed by my own. He was helpless. How is this possible? He gasped in horror. He was sent flying again, this time crashing into the main wall of Sector 5. A huge section of the reinforced structure crumbled into dust. Vance, broken and bleeding, struggled to his feet. He couldn't summon an ounce of his power. The fear was real now. Primal. Caleb, I am the leader of the Alliance. I came here to talk sense into you. Is this how you respond to reason? I laughed out loud. Reason? Fine. Let's be reasonable. I raised the soul siphon. The blight around me swirled into 18 massive, shadowy dragons that coiled and writhed before hurtling toward him. The shadow of absolute death fell over General Vance. His legendary composure finally shattered. Thump! He fell to his knees. "No, Caleb, don't. I beg you, spare me," he screamed, his voice raw with terror. "I'll give you anything. My position. You could be the new leader of the Alliance. Just let me live." Everyone was stunned into silence. The livestream was a dead zone. The strongest metahuman alive. Can't even fight back. Am I hallucinating? Is General Vance begging? My God, what have we unleashed? He's not Class S. He's something else. Something new. Watching the most powerful man they knew grovel for his life, the people of Sector 5 lost their last shred of hope. "Since you're so repentant, General," I said with a chilling smile, "you can atone for your arrogance inside my soul siphon." The 18 dragons descended, tearing his physical body to pieces. "No!" he shrieked as his soul was ripped from the scraps and absorbed into my banner. The last hope of Sector 5 was extinguished. "It's over. We're all going to die. It's that bastard Aiden Croft. He did this to us. He's the one who lied. Please, someone help us. I don't want to die. Give them a commandant. Give them Aiden. It's their fault." I let my power, the power of a true god of death, unfurl completely. A wave of terrifying pressure washed over the 24 assault carriers hovering in the sky. My voice, cold and devoid of emotion, echoed across the heavens. "My business is with Sector 5. The rest of you are irrelevant. You have 5 seconds to leave. Anyone who remains will die." The roar of 24 engines firing at once was immediate. In the blink of an eye, the sky was empty. 18 now, Sector 5 was truly alone. I patted the tyrant's massive head. "Go on, Jonesy. Do what you came here to do. I won't stop you this time." I rose into the air as the 10-foot-tall tyrant led a 100 million-strong army of the dead into the helpless city. With a wave of my hand, Seraphina and Aiden were ripped from their positions and teleported to my side, suspended in the air. I held the pale, lifeless Seraphina with my left hand and the trembling, weeping Aiden with my right. Below us, the zombie apocalypse consumed Sector 5. "Look, Commandant," I said coldly, "this is the ending you chose." The city was a symphony of screams. Jonesy and the Alphas were tearing through buildings, their rampage unchecked. The once gleaming metropolis was becoming a charnel house. "Caleb, please." Seraphina trembled, her eyes wide with horror. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I'm your fiancé, Caleb. Please, give me one more chance." Aiden was a blubbering mess. "It wasn't me, Lord Caleb, I swear. It was her. This bitch made me do it. Please, I'm just a dog. Spare my worthless life." Seraphina stared at him in disbelief. "Aiden, you bastard. You were the one who said Caleb didn't care about me. You said he was holding us back, that I had to kill him, and now you blame it all on me? You spineless rat." Aiden ignored her, his eyes fixed on me, pleading. "It wasn't me, my lord. It was this venomous woman. She was jealous of your power, afraid you would overshadow her. She used me. I'm a victim too. Please, have mercy. I'll be your slave for the rest of my life." "Aiden, I will kill you," Seraphina shrieked, struggling against the necrotic energy that bound her. She turned her desperate, tear-streaked face to me. "Caleb, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Don't listen to him. I love you. I was just confused. I regret it, I swear. We can start over, please?" I watched their pathetic squabbling with a cold, detached amusement. "Oh, really? Since you're both so sorry, you can repent for your sins inside the soul siphon." The necrotic energy around my hand erupted, and Aiden Croft's body was instantly crushed into a mist of blood and bone. His screaming soul was sucked into the banner to be tormented for eternity. With Aiden gone, I turned my attention to Seraphina. She was broken. Watching Aiden die so brutally had shattered the last of her sanity. I forced her to keep watching as her city was devoured. "Look, Seraphina, you did this." My voice echoed in her ear. "You are the great traitor of Sector 5. 100 million souls are dead because of you." She watched the slaughter, the rivers of blood, the ruin of her home. The sounds of agony and despair washed over her. She finally broke, her body racked with shuddering, hysterical sobs. Now it's your turn. She shook her head wildly, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Caleb. I shouldn't have listened to Aiden. I shouldn't have killed you. I'm so sorry. The necrotic energy in my hand solidified, forming a small black knife. It was an exact replica of the one she had used on me. I pressed its tip against her chest. You stabbed me through the heart, I said softly. It's only fair you get to experience it for yourself. No, please don't, she begged, her voice a pathetic whimper. Caleb, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I ignored her pleas. I drove the knife in her heart. Her body went rigid. The light in her eyes died. Blood bloomed across the front of her uniform, a single, perfect crimson rose. Her soul joined Aiden's in the soul siphon, her eternal screams a testament to her failure. With my betrayers dealt with, I hovered in the sky, a silent god observing a world of my own making. Sector 5 was now a city of the dead, its former glory reduced to rubble and silence. After the last human scream faded, I, the Arch-Necromancer, began my true work. There was a final, secret power granted to me, the Requiem, a song that could grant peace to the tormented souls of the dead. These zombies were merely puppets, their souls trapped in rotting flesh, unable to pass on. I sang the Requiem over the ruins of Sector 5, and then I took my song to the rest of the world. 1 month later, the planet was free of zombies. Their bodies returned to the earth, their souls finally released. A new era for humanity had begun.